This is a mid to high-end gaming headset. It features an over-ear closed-back headphone design, a detachable microphone, a USB-C port for charging because yes, it is wireless, and it will set you back between, $200 and £200. In fact, this is the one I was using a year before I became enlightened. No, but really, today's video is designed to get you to try out, or maybe even convert to IEMs, in-ear monitors. Earphones if you like, if you don't want to be so pedantic about things. So for less than the cost of a high-end gaming headset, should you opt for a pair of IEMs and separate microphone? I think so, but let's talk about that. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and this is why you should be using IEMs for gaming in 2022. Also would like to state, I wrote and filmed a lot of this video a lot before Ali Saeed put his video up, and whilst he is an inspiration to this YouTube channel, I'm definitely not trying to copy him. I've just invested way too much time into this video to actually leave it and ditch it. So sorry to Ali if you feel like I'm copying. I feel like I'm going a different route with it anyway. Anyway, let's get into the video. Come on. I first want to state that I'm not an audiophile. You know, I like my music. I like high-end audio, but honestly, I don't really own anything that's worth over a couple of £100 anyway. And even then, I use Bluetooth like earpods and AirPods and stuff. So I'm not a snob. I'm just a competitive FPS gamer with a bit of an insight into how the audio system works. Okay, so straight off the bat, there are reasons why you might not like IEMs. You might have issues with your ears that mean you can't really put stuff in them. That's fair enough. Go with a good set of dedicated headphones. And there's also the fact that, you know, they can get a bit uncomfortable after long periods of time. I would say that the fatigue with IEMs tends to only last a week or so before you bed them in and get used to them. However, completely understand if you don't want to use IEMs. In that case, just use a good pair of closed back headphones. I say closed back, the soundstage isn't as good, but they're better for noise cancelling. Let's discuss the advantages and disadvantages of IEMs or earbuds if your budget doesn't quite stretch. They are typically cheaper to buy. I have a couple of pairs here that only cost around £15. You are not getting a good gaming headset for £15. They are more portable, easier to carry around. The quality of the audio for the price is typically much better on IEMs compared to traditional headphones. They also don't mess with your hair if you care about that for some reason, and so you are not going to have the sort of headband thing going across, crushing any kind of quiff that you have up there. They are better for style points. They also seal in your ear better. They just create a better seal in your ear since they're going in it instead of over it or on it. And useful to me is that they don't mess with glasses, so they don't push the glasses into your ears like and into your head and make really uncomfortable feet. Like when I stick my Sennheiser headphones on, they really tend to hurt after 20 or 30 minutes because they're pushing my glasses into my skull. When you've got the IEMs in, they don't push into the glasses. Much nicer in my opinion. Now, the elephant in the room is that for a setup like this, you're going to need a separate microphone, something like what I'm using here. What you might not know though is that you don't have to spend hundreds on sort of an interface and cloud lifters and stuff to get a good microphone. You only have to spend 20 or 30 quid to get a good microphone. Plain old USB works great, no need for any additional cables, any additional power, any additional setup. Just plug it straight into your computer. You can get some really good USB mics for not a lot of money these days. And I mean, for every sense, bass sounds crisper, highs are more colourful, footsteps in games are better, all with IEMs. I couldn't hear footsteps in CSGO all that well with my Logitech headset, but with any of my IEMs, from AKG, Samsung to KZ Audio to Sennheiser, I can hear footsteps way better and the imaging just feels more immersive too. So given that I've mentioned sort of pricing, and obviously I'm speaking into a much more expensive microphone than what I've kind of mentioned, let's talk about the 3 different setups I have for different budgets. These cater to people who really don't want to spend a lot of money, and this is way cheaper than a wireless headset, to people who have lots of money, and actually money's not much of an issue, they just kind of want a good quality setup. And then a little in between, because, you know, not everyone's a baller and not everyone is completely poor. And I would also like to say that given the nature of this whole setup, you could balance it either way. If you want better IEMs, but you're not so fussed about the microphone, you can do that. It's modular. It's not like a headset where you kind of have to go with whatever works. And then if you want it the other way around, if you're not that fussed, you get some cheap IEMs that are still going to be very good, but you're maybe into podcast recording or something, you get a better microphone. It's very modular. Anyway, here are the setups I've come up with. At £65 to £70, we have the KZ Audio CCA Lyra, I'm just going to call them a Lyra, a recent launch that I found to be a great pair of IEMs. Crisp detail in FPS games is a must, and these definitely deliver on that. Alternatively, if you wanted extra low end in terms of the bass and the sub bass, and you can put up with the slightly muddier mids, the Samsung AKG earbuds that I have here are fantastic. They come with Galaxy smartphones. They can be had for a steal on Amazon. Just make sure you get a genuine pair. There are lots of fakes about, so yeah. These both plug straight into the computer or console with no interface, and then for the microphone, I've gone with the Audio-Technica AT2020 USB. I've had mine for over 10 years now, and the condition really does show. I mean, this was new 10 years ago. Alternatively, you could go with a cheaper mic on Amazon and save yourself a few more pounds, and I've put links to all this in the video description. This setup is very basic. You have your earphones going straight into your device, and you have your mic straight into your device as well. Honestly, it's a pretty good setup. Works really well. It's going to get you like 50% of the way there for way less than 50% of the price, if that makes sense. It's a really good value for money option. The CCA Lyras from KZ, I would say, are the better option over the Samsungs, but they are a bit bigger and might not fit in your ear as well. And they do have this sort of almost crispness to them, which might be a little bit fatiguing long term. It really does depend on what you're used to. But what I will say is they do deliver better detail in FPS games, for example. Next up is the £200 to £250 mark. This is where I'm trying to match sort of a high-end gaming headset, a wireless one, stuff like the Logitech wireless gaming headsets, for example, the Corsair ones. It features these, the KZ ZS10 Pro IEMs. These are what I've been using actually for the past 6 months and sort of prompted this video. They're really, really nice. They deliver terrific bass response, brilliantly detailed highs, and some nice but not overly colourful highs compared to the more expensive offerings, for example. These IEMs are around £50 or less and are an absolute steal. They absolutely decimate my AirPods Pro's £250 earphones in terms of quality, just an absolute steal. Then we're going for the Audient Evo 4 Xlr Interface. You could use the 3.5mm port on your device for output, but I like to have my interface closer to me so it gives me more wire length. The mic for this setup is the Rode Pod mic. For £100, it is one of the best sounding microphones on the market. Sounds great, though you do kind of need to get on top of it to get the volume you need. I mean, you have to be really right next to it, unless you were to splurge additional money on a zero noise gain enhancer. So for around £200 to £250, a very good setup. This is going to get you 90% of the way there. Really is as good as it gets for the money, and in my opinion, this is going to last you years and years. You know, the earphones, as long as you're careful with them, but will last you decades even. You just, because there's no batteries, you know, you don't have to swap anything out, and you know, if you're careful with your stuff, it will last a lifetime. So let's get on to what I would say is maybe a little bit overkill. Yeah, it's definitely very overkill for the average gamer, but maybe you're into streaming or you're into making YouTube videos, and this is where this comes in handy. £800 plus. It's a lot of money. But let's start off with this, the Cloud Lifter. That's what I mentioned earlier when I said zero noise gain enhancer. It adds 25 decibels of clean gain to any mic, in this case the legendary Shure SM7B, possibly the most cliche, overused, overkill microphone you can get. Most podcasts have this microphone, some YouTubers have this microphone, most streamers have this microphone. It really is sort of the go-to because you can't really go wrong with it. Actually, little side tangent, I switched to this because, as you may have noticed in many of my older videos, I live on quite a busy road and it's really annoying because trucks go past and sort of vibrate the house and stuff. This microphone gets rid of a lot of that noise, and I swapped this out. Sure, it gets in the shot and it's pretty ugly, it gets in the way, but actually it does a really good job of isolating noise, so I thought I'd go with that. Perfect for streamers if you live in a busy city or something like that. This feeds into the Cloud Lifter, which I mentioned before, gives you extra gain because this thing is very, very quiet without one of those. And then that feeds into an M-Audio 192 Air 6. This audio interface is a bit more robust, a little bit more sort of useful when it comes to the practical side of setups. You've got different volume knobs on the top. You don't have to control it all through software like the Audient is a little bit more finicky. This is more sort of traditional, and I think it works a lot better. But of course it takes up more space and of course costs more money. For the IEMs for this setup, I've gone with the Sennheiser Ie300s. These things sound amazing. They are a lot smaller than the KZs. The KZs are quite large, so I would say these are actually a little bit more comfortable than the KZs. They've got a bigger sound stage, I would say. The highs are definitely more crisp, but there's a lot of bass and sub bass to them, so you do feel like you're sort of more immersed in the music you're listening to. They are quite V-shaped, so they're not the best reference IEMs, for example, but they do sound like a lot of fun. So if you're happy to just sit there and listen to music, you can have lots of fun with these. I would say that actually for certain games they'll be better, they're more immersive, but actually for CSGO I found the KZs just, the footsteps seem to be tuned a little bit better. I'm not sure if that was by design or just an afterthought after actually tuning them for music and other things, but I did find the KZs, the ZS-10 Pros, which I mentioned in the mid-range setup, to actually have a little bit more of a balanced sort of feel to them, so you can sense people further away in stuff like CSGO and Apex. These you can definitely hear footsteps better than sort of a gaming headset. I would say the IE300s are still great, but I would say they are the more well-rounded IEM. They're better for listening to music, watching films, watching YouTube videos, and gaming, where the KZs might be more gaming suited than anything else. This high-end setup is almost exclusively for streamers or content creators or people that are maybe making a bit of money out of the stuff that they invest in. Unless you have a lot of money, I would not recommend splurging your budget on this microphone and a pair of IE300s. I'd actually say the mid-range setup, if you can stretch to it, is one that's going to last you for years and years, is very modular, and of course is one that's going to get you like 90%, 95% of the way there. The pod mic, if you maybe did save a little bit more and you chucked on the cloud lifter, maybe it takes to around £350. Sure, that's way more expensive than the first setup at 50, but it's still way cheaper than the £800+ setup. Again, with this sort of setup, it's very modular. You know, you might get a mic arm like this, the Rode one, it's quite expensive, or you could get a cheaper one that's the Amazon Basics microphone arm. Isn't going to hold something like the Shure, which is quite heavy, but it's definitely a good enough microphone arm for, you know, starting out, for example. And hopefully I've convinced you to give one of these setups a go. I will leave all the Amazon affiliate links in the video description, so I get a little bit of kickback if you buy anything through the link. It's going to be sort of in the realm of 4% or something like that, so you know, don't feel too bad if you don't click the links. It's a pretty good way to get into gaming, I would say. If you are someone who listens to a lot of music at your setup, IEMs are huge. You know, they don't give that broader sound stage like you might get from a pair of HD600s or something like that, but they give you definitely a better seal in the ear. I can barely hear anything when I got IEMs in from the outside world, which is good if you are in a busy place like me. The microphone is also very nice to have because it just means that when you're talking to people on Discord and that, you can be a bit quieter at night time and just get a little bit closer, and the people can still hear you clearly. I found that with my Logitech microphone, if I got quiet, it sort of sometimes cut out, and when I got loud, it would just clip and you wouldn't hear anything. Very strange, but there we go, that's wireless headsets for you. I will leave Ali Saeed's video in the video description, as I feel I kind of have to at this point, because I can't believe I didn't record this a couple of weeks ago. I should have done that. Really good video from him. He sort of talks about IEMs individually and not necessarily about the whole setup, not where I've sort of given sort of 3 different price points and stuff. Really good YouTuber, and definitely recommend checking him out. And with that, I want to leave today's video, guys. Please do like, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. Check out all my links in the video description, and as always, I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Peace.